Greetings, welcome back to another edition of the Friday 13th YouTube channel. Today we're talking about the new Exodus album, Goliath. It's just been released on Napalm Records, and the band is touring at the moment right now with Creator and Carcass. If you've not seen the tour yet, check it out, it's a fantastic tour. Now, this album has been getting mixed reviews, it's been getting some excellent reviews, it's been getting some bad reviews. It's a love-hate relationship for this new album. Now, I've this album, I listened a few times now. Prior to me reviewing this, I wanted to do a good review and be fair and justice, give the band justice for this album. So, as we all know, Exodus are a Bay Area band from San Francisco that were formed back in 1979. Now, the band were formed by original drummer and long-time drummer Tom Hunting, along with guitarist Kurt Hammett, who's now, as we all know, is with Metallica. With the success of so many great demos, it wasn't long before the band released their debut album, the cult classic Bonded by Blood. This was released on Combat Records and also licensed to Music for Nations. Released in 1985, this album was a sheer powerful album that had to show the true strength and aggression of Exodus's music. With vocalists like Paul Bailoff, rest in peace, a fantastic singer. It was an absolute crazy frontman live. But on the studio album, he really did do a fantastic job. This is sadly was the only album that Paul Bailoff did. This album would also feature longtime guitarist Gary Holt, guitarist Rick Hunolt, and bassist Rob McKillop. So that would be the lineup for the debut album Bonded by Blood. Now, as we all know, Exodus have gone through some member lineup changes. When Paul Bailoff left the band, his replacement was with the one and only Steve Zetro, as we all know, is with Legacy, now called Testament. The band's second album's Pleasures of the Flesh was a fantastic follow-up to those Bonded by Blood. This was released back in 1987, also for Combat and Music for Nations. In 2005, vocalist Rob Duke would take replacement for Steve Zetro and would release the album Shovel-Headed Kill Machine, which is a fantastic album. This shows the strength of the band's music and also the brutal vocals of Rob Duke's vocals. Rob Duke would record the next album with the band. This was called the Atrocity Exhibition Exhibit A. This was released in 2007. In 2014, Steve Zetro would come back to the band and release the album Blood In, Blood Out, which is a great album. And this would be followed by the next album for Steve Zetro. It would be called Persona Non Grata. This was released in 2021. Unfortunately, Steve Zetro was fired from the band, and his replacement, as we all know, is Rob Duke, who's back in the band for the new album. So what's been going on with this new album? Why has it been getting such bad reviews? I personally think it's a really good album, but I do have to admit the first two singles that the band released for YouTube really didn't do the band justice. I thought the songs were pretty laid back. However, the best of the album is absolutely fantastic. And that's why I've decided to give this album a little bit of a listen before I review it. I think there's some fantastic songs on this new album, and the overall production is fantastic. Exodus are still doing some great songs and great music, and they've still got their own tone and sound that they've had up throughout their band's career. Like I said, the album has some fantastic songs and some really heavy songs. They could have released any song as a promotional video to promote the album, but sadly, some reason they did it the wrong way around. Hence, they've got the love-hate relationship for this new album. Second single, the title track of the album, Goliath, wasn't the most exciting single. However, there is better songs on this album that really could have shined through. A lot of people also thought the new album cover behind me was just AI album cover that was just done by a genetic fan. However, it is the album cover, and I really like it. It's grown on me. So this album comes with 10 songs. Let's talk about the songs from the new album. We have 3111, Hostess, Humany, Generous, The Changing Me featuring Peter from Hypocrisy doing backing vocals. We'd have Promise You This, Goliath featuring Katie Jacoby. We'd have Beyond the Event Horizons, 2 Minute Hate, Violence Works, Some of the Gods Unknown, and the last song is called The Dirtiest of the Dozen. So that's the song titles for the new album. Let's talk about the songs in general for the album. Like I said, the opening track, 3111, was also released as a promotional video. 3111 is a really good song, actually. It's a great opening song. Although I must admit the beginning of the song is pretty laid back, but it does build up into a very powerful in-your-face thrash metal song. What do you expect more from Exodus? This album packs a punch, and Rob Duke's vocals are on top form. He's got a very brutal voice, and this album's really suited to the style of music that the Exodus are playing, especially with this new album. I've got to say the production is second to none. Tom's drums really do shine through. The guitars sound absolutely fantastic. Jack's bass playing, you can actually hear really good clicky bass guitar sound. And like I said, Rob Duke's vocals are on top form, aggressive, in your face, old school thrash metal. Next is the song Hostess, Humani. This is yet another brutal song. What do you expect from Exodus? These guys take no prisoners from start to finish. Tom is really going for it on this album. His drums are absolutely phenomenal. Some fantastic playing here. A lot of double bass drumming. Fantastic all-around drummer. And like I say, Jack's bass playing is also incredibly brilliant. You can really hear the clicky bass guitar sound on here. It's almost like Steve Harris is playing thrash metal. Now, other than this song reminding me of Death Angel, it also takes me back to one of the old school Exodus albums, Impact is Imminent. Now, I think this is a fantastic album. This is a really well put together song. It's a pretty much a mid-paced song up until Peter sings the vocals. Next is the song Change in Me. This is a really cool song, folks. The beginning of the song reminds me of old school thrashers Death Angel, especially from the album Frolics for Other Park. It's got that distinct sound of Death Angel, but it soon builds up into a heavy Exodus song. It's got some pretty brutal vocals, especially with Peter from Hypocrisy doing backing vocals. Next is one of the most commercial songs on the album. However, this is a catchy tune. It's called Promise You This. Rob Duke's vocals are not as aggressive as they are on previous songs on this album, but it's still got that catchy Exodus guitar riffs. I kind of like this song, even though it's a little bit more commercial. Let's just hope this isn't the next promotional video. They need to do a really heavy song to promote this album. Next is the title track, Goliath. This is a pretty laid-back song. However, I do like the bass guitar sound that Jack's delivered at the beginning of the song. It's got a really heavy, dirty bass guitar sound, kind of cross between Lemmy and Dee Dee Daney from the band Overkill. Now, this song is being put in the set list for the new tour that they're doing right now with the Creator. It's not a bad song, but I wouldn't say it's the most heaviest song that should have been played live. All in all, this album is a really good album. Give it a try, folks. There might be a couple of songs that might be different, maybe slow paced, or whatever you want to call it. But it's got some typical Exodus songs, heavy in your face, and they're still pumping out some great albums. Like I say, lovers and haters, give it one last chance. Leave me some comments. Let me know what you think of this album. I think it's a pretty damn good album. I think the production's excellent, and it's really catchy songs in places. So I'm going to give this album 4 out of 5. I think it's a catchy album. So, folks, the overall review. What do you think of this album? Have you listened to it as many times as I have? Give it a fair listen, folks. It's a damn good album. Although it does have some elements and some moments where the album does have slightly different songs, different approach, it's still pretty much Exodus. Like I said, the production's fantastic, and they're still playing heavy, brutal music. So go and check them out live. They're on tour right now with Carcass and Creator. I'm going to give this album 4 out of 5. Leave me some comments and let me know what you think of this album. Thanks for watching. More reviews coming soon.